I do want to pivot to a completely different, really crazy kind of topic here. So Fox is going to be releasing a new Flintstones series. I believe it's in prime time, called Bedrock. It's going to be an adult comedy, and it takes place 20 years after the original Flintstones series, and it basically revolves around Pebbles, who's now in her 20s. Dre, Vashkai, what are your thoughts on this new Flintstones TV show in the works?
This is definitely a decision. Look, listen. It was a TV show that came out in 1960, 6 seasons, 66. Okay, there have been attempts by studios over the years to try to capitalize on this. Right? I think the most notable one is the 1994, I think, film with that Universal produced a live action starring Rick Moranis and John Goodman and Rosie O'Donnell, interestingly enough. And they spent a whole bunch of money, and it flopped real hard. I mean, they spent a lot of money on that film, and it just died a dog's death at the box office. I mean, just to put it in perspective, they still have the Flintstones vehicles on the tram route. If you go on the Universal Studio Tour, that's kind of how much they invested in there. That's how much they held on to those props, because oh boy, they were still trying to make that work, at least in the theme park setting. They did with Waterworld, but not with Flintstones. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. It's just I've seen studios and these kind of television networks try to make use of these old properties, and with varying degrees of success. Elizabeth Banks, I think, is fine. The films I really like from her are Pitch Perfect, and even then, that's kind of like, how much influence did she have? It was Pitch Perfect 2, which she had more influence on, better than Pitch Perfect 1. I don't know. That's for debate. I don't know. It's she tried with Charlie's Angels. Yeah. And I
heard that movie did great. It was that was $1 billion movie, right, Dre?
Charlie's Angels?
Yeah, stuff like that, right? No, I'm kidding.
No, it was not.
No, that was I think that was like one of the biggest flops of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, right? It was not good. So
she took out a loan from James Cameron to make that movie.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy. So I don't know. I think our track record is and then when, you bring the TV in, you bring Flintstone. I don't know, George. What do you say?
With me, I have an issue when you kind of push so many reboots for every little thing. It's like, I'm more of a nostalgic, original, classic type person, where it's like, you tried it once, you even tried it again with Viva Rock Vegas. It's like, how about we drop it there? It's like, it's just one of those things where it's like trying to find that lightning in a bottle where it's bright and sunny out. There's no lightning. It's like, just let it be. Will I consider maybe checking it out for curiosity purposes and for research purposes for our YouTube channels? Why not? Something to definitely talk about. But it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, they're going to do another reboot of something in a different way. It could be. I'm not going to put any money down on it, but it's just like one of those things that I prefer the classic Flintstones. Now, aside from the 1992 or 1990, I think it was 1994, the Flintstones came out, that I have to say John Goodman alone was a very good Fred. I think like that role, but I mean, as far as, I think people just kind of saw it as this Hanna-Barbera classic cartoon from the 60s and the 70s, and they didn't need anything more from it. It's like, just, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think you both are taking reboots for granted. Granted. I'm granted. I'm flopping on my Flintstone jokes, but
well, I mean, from the studio's position,
you don't know what you don't know.
You just don't know what you don't know. So I think it's really important that they kind of kick the tires on this, or rocks. I don't know. Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, here's my thing. I think the concept itself is actually pretty smart, because I think that the original Flintstones was sort of a modern, for that era, for the 60s, was a modern take on the caveman world. So it was very relevant to the 60s. I think it was even like modeled after the Honeymooners, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And it was like the first cartoon in prime time. It was kind of a, an edgy thing back then. So I understand why they would try to redo that now in this for this new generation. So the concept itself, I'm not against. And I know that Seth MacFarlane, who does Family Guy, who I love Family Guy. I think Family Guy is absolutely brilliant. It cracks me up like crazy. Wanted to do a Flintstone show like this, and then it ultimately never happened. I would feel more confident in a Seth MacFarlane Bedrock than I do an Elizabeth Banks Bedrock. No offense to Miss Banks. Her films, like Dre touched upon, I don't know. She has.
I could just kind of picture a live action where Seth makes a cameo, even in Elizabeth Banks's version. He just has that Peter Griffin voice, like, "It's the Joan of Arcadia."
Yeah, it has potential. I just wish I kind of wish Seth MacFarlane was kind of running the show, though. To be honest with you, I kind of do. I think that Elizabeth Banks is real iffy, but we'll see. It might be really awesome. It might be really great.
Or it might just hit the rocks.
Right, it might hit rock bottom. Right.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to have executives, just kind of saying their piece later on.
We've made mistakes. I have made mistakes.
That's what's going to happen.
But we own them.
Yeah.
Mistakes are made.
That's mistakes probably are going to be made with this one. I just don't see it go anywhere, fellas. I'm sorry. I think it's, and especially when you hear Elizabeth Banks talk about it, it's like, oh, we're going to reimagine and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to bring it to take contemporary audiences. It's like, okay, all right, guys, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is, how much risk are they going to be able to take with a form like a legendary cartoon? Like when Seth MacFarlane did Family Guy, it was an original concept, so he can do whatever he wants. He can make it as vulgar as he wants. He has complete and total freedom with it. But with an IP like the Flintstones, you don't have that same level of creative freedom. So she's marketing it as an adult comedy, but like, how much freedom does she have in that? I'm really doubtful. I don't know. She
must have some big stones to pull this off.
Oh God, the puns. Also too, Seth MacFarlane has complete creative freedom, like with the characters and stuff. So like, right. Do you do justice with those characters? I mean, if you bring them into the real world, are they, how do modern audiences feel with them? How do you have to change them in order to comport with that? I mean, you just get into some issues, and I just don't think it'll be successful.
For how many adult puns that we just had in this conversation, they could send us a check right now. They could use it in there.
They probably are. Probably are.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm iffy on it. I'm very iffy on it. I think the concept has potential, but like I said, I just think, I don't know. I can easily see it being a total train wreck too.